I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.
If the angels bring some sort of, script that's, written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break.
Jim Carrey is blowing the whistle on Hollywood's darkest secrets, claiming big stars like Will Smith are taking advantage of younger actors. Consider Keanu Reeves, a man who's faced Hollywood's brutal challenges and personal losses, all away from the public eye.
I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion.
What if the glitz and glamour of Hollywood are just a cover-up for something much darker? Let's expose the real story hidden behind Hollywood's flashy facade, the dangerous forces behind America's screen heroes. In the US, television and the idea of heroes have changed a lot because of reality shows. These shows have altered our views on what it means to be a hero and what we consider to be true. For a while now, the government has brought actors from all sorts of TV shows, from talk shows to sitcoms. Their role? To keep us entertained, make us laugh, and feel happy so that we don't notice what's really going on around us.
We were still workshopping
By the way,
that.
these are
That wasn't
supposed to
the
be
answer.
answered individually. These are not team questions. We go to you, Robert.
It's a strange and intense situation. Imagine being told not to sign something, but it's just between the two of you. Most people in general would rather live quietly and not get too involved. As the line between reality and scripted fantasy blurs, one must wonder, who truly holds the power in the world we think we know? The beginning. Training required avoiding eye contact while getting dressed. This rule is reminiscent of behaviors observed in some Hollywood actors, such as Keanu Reeves. Known for his humility and determination, Reeves has navigated through numerous challenges in the competitive environment of Hollywood. His path has been fraught with personal tragedies and professional obstacles, marking a journey that has been anything but straightforward. Jim Carrey has been quite open, saying that Hollywood punishes those who don't play by its unspoken rules.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse.
He's even accused Will Smith of mistreating younger actors and hinted that there's a broader system of control and abuse in the industry involving some of its biggest stars. These accusations haven't just put Jim Carrey in the spotlight. They've also made him a target. You have to wonder why he's being targeted so fiercely. The entertainment industry seems to be losing its strength, which shows a change in its power and position. They've both gone through many tough situations in the industry, proving that even the nicest and strongest people can face some harsh truths. In a 2019 interview with GQ, Keanu Reeves opened up about some difficult experiences from his past. One of the most significant was how Fox Studios blacklisted him for 14 years because he turned down a movie sequel. But that's not even the worst part. Let's rewind to 1994, a year filled with blockbuster films like Pulp Fiction, The Shawshank Redemption, The Lion King, and Forrest Gump. Among these hits was an action movie called Speed, which was a game-changer for Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. The film not only wowed critics, but also catapulted both stars to A-list fame, earning an impressive $350 million on a $38 million budget. When Speed 2 Cruise Control came out, Keanu was noticeably absent, and Jason Patric stepped in instead. Even though the director and Sandra Bullock tried to convince him to return, Keanu had read the script and just couldn't do it. After all, who would want to see a speed movie set on a slow-moving cruise ship? Keanu turned down a huge $5.5 million offer and instead chose to play Hamlet in Canada for much less, just under $2,000 a week. This didn't sit well with Fox Studios. They even spread rumors that he skipped the sequel to tour with his band, Dog Star, but that wasn't true. Keanu was simply exhausted from action movies after finishing Chain Reaction, a film he found unsatisfying. Too much action, but not much meaning. Keep in mind, this was before he became the action star we know today from John Wick. He needed a break, especially after a near miss with a dangerous stunt in the first Speed and a motorcycle accident that left him with a broken ankle. Not taking a role can be as impactful as taking one.
Bad luck is I've got a fake tooth, I've got a huge scar here, I've got I guess a plate in my neck about this, but that's not all just the motorcycles. But yeah, I've come off the bike a few times.
Tragedy. Behind the screen. But here's the twist. Not doing Speed 2 might have been the best decision Keanu ever made. When the sequel was released in 1997, it bombed at the box office, making only $64.5 million against a budget that ranged between $110 to $160 million. Critics didn't like it either. So, despite the studio's anger and the backlash he faced, skipping the sequel turned out to be a smart move, not just for his career, but also for his peace of mind. Widely considered one of the least successful sequels, this film received a shockingly low rating of just 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, while Hollywood might not have felt the impact, Keanu certainly did. Despite facing exclusion from many opportunities, Keanu Reeves has faced numerous personal hardships while building a respected career. Throughout his journey, he has dealt with deep personal losses, including those closest to him. In the late 1990s, as the world was gearing up for the new millennium, Keanu's sister Kim was battling leukemia. During this difficult period, Keanu was also in a relationship with actress Jennifer Syme. They met in 1998 and were eagerly awaiting the arrival of their first child. But, in a heartbreaking twist, their daughter Ava was stillborn in 1999. This tragic event put a heavy strain on their relationship, leading to a breakup shortly after. Although they tried to reconcile later, it didn't work out. Then, in 2001, another tragedy hit when Syme died in a car accident after leaving a party at Marilyn Manson's house. Even though they were no longer together, her death deeply affected Keanu. Additionally, Keanu was close friends with another rising Hollywood star, River Phoenix. You might remember Phoenix from his memorable role in Stand By Me alongside Corey Feldman. Sadly, in 1993, at just 23 years old, Phoenix died from a drug overdose at the Viper Room in Hollywood, with his brother Joaquin by his side. Keanu and River had worked together in the 1991 film My Own Private Idaho, directed by Gus Van Sant. Initially, both actors were unsure about the script, but they decided to take on the project together. Keanu often talks about the pact they made to do the film and the many memories they shared. River's death left Keanu devastated, a pain he rarely discusses openly. Those close to him know this is a topic to avoid, as his grief runs deep.
River was like, let's do this. And I was, let's do this. Well, I can't talk about My Own Private Idaho without talking about River.
Keanu's experiences highlight a troubling pattern of mistreatment and exploitation in Hollywood, a theme echoed by other actors like Jim Carrey. Carrey, known for his iconic comedic roles and dynamic personality, has fascinated many with his journey from being a comedy legend to being seen as eccentric by the media. Recently, there have been claims suggesting there's more to his story. Despite his vibrant past, concerns have grown among his close friends due to his increasingly reclusive lifestyle, which has led him to focus more on personal interests than his acting career. On his 62nd birthday, Carrey made a rare public appearance, looking unkempt and almost unrecognizable. This alarmed his friends, who quickly rallied around him in support. A source mentioned that Carrey has been living in Hawaii, distancing himself from Hollywood and showing little interest in returning to the spotlight. This withdrawal has sparked significant concern among those close to him, as he seems to be isolating himself and stepping back from public life. Observers noted that Carrey appeared physically and mentally drained. This concern comes from his decision to retire from acting and concentrate on his art.
Well, I'm retiring, but yeah, probably.
A choice he made public in 2022, stating that he might retire unless something truly special comes his way. He emphasized finding personal happiness, and expressed satisfaction with his achievements, saying he has done enough and is enough. This shift towards seeking personal fulfillment marks a major change in his life's direction. Fame fades, revealing tougher realities. The struggle behind the screen. Jim Carrey's creative work has raised concerns among his friends about his personal struggles. He revealed that Hollywood is not just about fame and glamour. It also has a hidden side that tries to turn actors into mere extensions of the characters they play. This blurs the line between who they are in real life and who they portray on screen. This realization deeply troubled him, and in interviews, he shared how easy it was for him to lose himself in his roles. The more he immersed himself in these characters, the more fragile his sense of self became. In a 2022 CBS interview, Carrey openly questioned his own identity and expressed disappointment with Hollywood's lack of courage, especially when the Oscars celebrated Will Smith, despite his controversial actions on stage. Carrey went further, saying that if he were in Chris Rock's position, he would have taken legal action, showing how deeply such public insults can affect someone. He criticized the industry's shallow response to serious situations, pointing to a bigger issue of superficiality and moral decline within Hollywood. Cat Williams also shared his thoughts on the manipulative nature of the industry, suggesting that Will Smith might be under significant control from external forces, which could be influencing his actions and career. Williams even speculated that Smith's recent professional struggles were deliberately orchestrated to lower his status in the industry, using tactics similar to old-school propaganda but disguised as standard business practices. But this wasn't the only troubling aspect.
Wow, dude!
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out mouth.
These conversations reveal a disturbing look behind Hollywood's glamorous image, hinting at a world where manipulation and control often overshadow true talent and integrity. They had everything planned out for you from the very beginning, the moment they got you on that TV show. They only wanted you for one specific role. If you ever tried to step out of that box, they'd cut you off immediately. This happened to Will when he worked on After Earth with his son Jaden. After that, they started to push him out, turning him from a $20 million per film star into someone who seemed like he was struggling to find work. This isn't just about him, it's similar to what happened with Diddy. Williams suggests that both Will and Diddy have been cast aside by an industry that uses up its biggest stars until they aren't needed anymore.
I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough.
Jim Carrey's rise to fame is a classic example of hard work and ambition. Coming from a humble background, Jim always dreamed of making it big in entertainment. He had a natural talent for making people laugh and imitating celebrities, which he practiced endlessly at school events and local shows. His dedication paid off when he moved to Los Angeles in the early 1980s. He quickly became a TV favorite, wowing audiences with his spot-on impressions on shows like The Tonight Show, with Johnny Carson, and In Living Color. It wasn't long before he made the leap to movies, becoming a major film star. Behind the laughter, a deeper story unfolds. Jim Carrey's serious turn. Throughout the 1990s, Jim Carrey was the king of comedy in Hollywood. He was the go-to actor for any film that wanted to make people laugh. Movies like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber solidified his reputation as a comedy genius. His exaggerated gestures, flexible facial expressions, and perfect timing made him a favorite with audiences all over the world. Beyond movies, his performances on In Living Color and his own show, Jim Carrey's Unnatural Act, showcased his wide range of talents and helped him become a global star. As the year 2000 drew near, Jim Carrey felt the need for something different in his career. He wanted to explore more serious acting roles, hoping to prove that he could do more than just make people laugh. This was a bold move because most people knew him best for his comedic roles, and it was risky to step out of that comfort zone. In 1998, Jim took on his first serious role in The Truman Show, a film that made audiences think about the blurred lines between reality and fiction. He played Truman Burbank, a man who didn't realize his entire life was actually a TV show. This role earned him widespread acclaim and his first Golden Globe for Best Actor. 2 years later, Jim amazed everyone again in Man on the Moon, where he portrayed Andy Kaufman, a unique and quirky comedian. This performance earned him more praise and his second Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Drama.
Winner is Jim Carrey in The Truman Show.
As Jim transitioned from being known as a comedian to a serious actor, he faced both praise and criticism. While his serious roles were well received, there was a growing sense of unease around him. Some directors found him difficult to work with, and it seemed like his popularity with audiences was starting to wane. Hollywood appeared to be pushing him aside, possibly because he was challenging their expectations. It felt like the movie industry was trying to hold him back, keeping him tied to comedic roles. But this wasn't the worst part. Jim was starting to sense that his attempt to break free from the comedian label might cost him more than he anticipated. When an actor starts speaking out against Hollywood, it often brings serious trouble to their career and personal life.
You understand?
This is exactly what happened to Jim Carrey. His career took a hit, and he faced deep personal challenges, including the loss of his ex-girlfriend. To make matters worse, her family accused him of being involved in her tragic death. These events not only hurt his reputation, but also left him emotionally scarred.
Physical comedy. Where did that come from?
Desperation.
Desperation?
I had a sick mom, man. I wanted to make her feel better.
What made things even harder was Hollywood's lack of concern for his struggles. This only deepened Carrey's disappointment with the film industry. During these tough times, he turned to spiritual practices for comfort. He started meditating and using visualization techniques to try and bring success back into his life.
I don't try to predict what's going to happen, I'll leave that up to everybody else.
Through this spiritual journey, Carrey began to think deeply about his life and his work as an actor. He started to see that Hollywood didn't just demand talent. It required actors to fully immerse themselves in their roles, which could be harmful to their mental health. But this wasn't the worst part. A dedicated fan stood up and said that Carrey wasn't losing his mind. Instead, he was making some very important points. This statement brought attention to how the entertainment industry often treats people who challenge the way things are. Speaking out brings challenges, not just change. The quiet rebellion of Hollywood's unsung heroes. Rather than looking into the truth of what these individuals say,
but you wanted to prove something to people?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I want to prove anything. I just want to prove it to myself.
the media often labels them as odd or unstable, distracting everyone from the real issues they raise. Carrey's outspoken nature didn't just change how people saw him as an artist, it also highlighted the ongoing struggle between artistic freedom and the industry's need to maintain control. His willingness to question the typical views of fame and celebrity posed a real challenge to Hollywood's perfect image. But as Carrey's perspective changed, it became clear that Hollywood wasn't ready to accept an actor who was brave enough to criticize the system.
I am willing to lose everything to express that side of myself.
The industry prefers actors who completely lose themselves in their roles, even if it harms them, and then cast them aside when they're no longer needed. Carrey's deep self-reflection threatened the industry's carefully maintained image, showing that not everyone was willing to keep things as they were. When Keanu Reeves talks about the film industry, he's also sharing his own personal experiences. Despite all the challenges he's faced, Keanu remains one of the most humble and kind-hearted stars in Hollywood. He keeps a positive attitude no matter what he's been through. A good example of this is during a 2019 interview on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where he talked about life and death in a way that touched many people.
What do you think happens when we die, Keanu Reeves?
I know that the ones who love us will miss us.
Both in the studio and watching at home. Year after year, stories from fans who have met him or actors who have worked with him show just how uplifting he is. One thing that stands out about Keanu is his selflessness, especially on set. For instance, while filming The Matrix in 1999, he earned a lot of money, but decided to give about $75 million to the special effects team and other crew members because he thought they deserved it more. Even at the peak of his fame, he took a $2 million pay cut for The Devil's Advocate, so the studio could afford to hire Al Pacino, and he reduced his pay by 90% for The Replacements to bring Gene Hackman on board. But his kindness isn't just about money. Keanu is also known for how respectfully he treats his female co-stars and fans. While Hollywood has uncovered many cases of bad behavior among male stars, Keanu stands out as a gentleman. At red carpet events, for example, he often avoids fully embracing female colleagues and instead keeps a respectful distance, a move that many have praised for showing consideration for their comfort. Beyond his public behavior, Keanu is a big supporter of charities, often donating anonymously. Inspired by his sister Kim's fight against leukemia, he has given large sums to children's hospitals and cancer research efforts. Unlike many celebrities who seek attention for their charity work, Keanu prefers to stay out of the spotlight, letting his private foundation operate quietly for years without any fanfare. But this isn't the only remarkable thing about Keanu. In 2020, he stepped into the spotlight for a good cause by auctioning off a 15-minute Zoom call to raise money for a children's cancer charity. Even though Hollywood has tried to make his career more difficult, Keanu's admirable actions have only made people love him more. What the future holds for him, and how the industry reacts to ongoing revelations, remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: Keanu Reeves, like Jim Carrey, won't back down from standing up for what they believe in. What impact will Keanu's discreet philanthropy have on celebrity culture? Like, comment, and subscribe for more.